Hi, I'm Kayla Baker, and thank you to the Birds of the Niagara for organizing and hosting us today to share more about the New York State Birding Trail. I'm from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and I'm based in Albany, but I'm originally from Niagara County. And I received my bachelor's from Niagara University and my master's from Buffalo State, and then moved to Albany about 4 years ago for an Excelsior Fellowship with the DEC. And today I'm going to give you a really brief overview on my program at DEC. I'm a public participation specialist for the Adventure New York program. And then I'm going to get into some background on why DEC decided to develop a birding trail and get into more details on how it works, how property managers and owners can get involved, and how everybody can participate in the birding trail. So just a little bit of background on DEC's Adventure New York initiative. It was launched in 2017. And the goals are to expand access to healthy, active outdoor recreation, connect people with nature and the outdoors, while protecting New York's natural resources, as well as boosting local economies. So like I said, I'm the public participation specialist for this initiative, and we're essentially an office of outdoor recreation within DEC. And we're a team of four, and you can see the picture of all of us on the right-hand side of the screen. So very quickly, just getting into how we work to advance the goals that I just mentioned. The first is via infrastructure improvements, and this is expanding access and improving the user experience for when visitors visit DEC lands and facilities. So we want people to have a quality experience when we're visiting DEC properties. We do things like rehabilitate campgrounds, build accessible viewing platforms, and other fish and boating docks and things like that. So the second piece is all about inclusive programming. We want to make sure that we're connecting people to the outdoors and develop ways that they can more easily do this. We want to implement new initiatives that make it easier for people to be able to find resources and learn how to do new outdoor recreation experiences that we may have already been exposed to as we were kids, but maybe people need a little bit more help getting started. So we have a bunch of programs, and some of these are first-time camper program, and you can see the picture at the top. That was a special session that we had in 2021 with the Outdoor Afro chapter from the Capital Region in Albany. We also have Outdoors Day events, and this year's event will be held on June 11th. That is a Saturday, and that coincides with the National Get Outdoors Day. We also help work with state parks to host first day hikes, and those are on New Year's, and it's just the goal is to get people outdoors to kick off the new year. When a lot of these programs were canceled in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, they all went virtual. So we launched this new campaign called the Adventure at Home campaign, and we provided information to people on a weekly basis on ways to get outdoors from anywhere in New York State, from any area. We also run the iBird New York program, and some of you may know about that, but that is the basis for the New York State Birding Trail. We also have a couple more programs that I didn't mention here, but they're all available on our website. The last way that we work to promote our goals of the Adventure New York initiative is through enhanced marketing promotions. So these are just some of the samples of the Adventure New York resources that we provide to the public. We work to translate any of our materials where it's kind of relevant. We also have a newsletter that goes out once a month that just provides visitors and people with different ways that they can access healthy outdoor recreation. This is our brochure that you might see at some of our events. And this is just a little sneak peek of the New York State Birding Trail rack card that you may see if you visit one of the New York State Birding Trail locations, or if you're at a birding walk with the property that is on the birding trail. We try to send them rack cards so that they can provide more information about the birding trail. Just getting into a little birding trail background and why DEC decided to engage in this program. So many know that from the past couple of years, birding is having its day. Obviously, we know that it's an activity that can be done by anyone, anywhere. And during COVID, many turned to birding as a safe recreational activity, but it also highlighted the unequal access to the outdoors. The Central Park incident highlighted racism and the inequity and enjoyment of outdoors and nature. And so New York State saw that we could help support and advance this popular activity and build on our existing programming of iBird New York in the interest and the need for outdoor recreation opportunities. We also know that birding trails are one of the fastest growing recreation and tourism promotion efforts that are being developed across the country. So many states have birding trails, and we work cooperatively with these states to share ideas and get some more information on how we can make our birding trail even better. So Florida has had a birding trail for approximately 20 years, and they kind of divide their state into 4 sections, and they have hundreds of sites that people can visit. North Carolina has a birding trail, as well as Colorado. And Missouri's birding trail is one of the more recent birding trails, and it's kind of the example that we use to help develop our birding trail. As I mentioned, in 2017, DEC launched the iBird New York program. So we use this as a model to develop the New York State Birding Trail, as well as the Watchable Wildlife Program, which some of you may be familiar with, the binoculars that are located on DOT signs and things like that. There's also the Path Through History program, which we used as a model to help develop the New York State Birding Trail. So the birding trail is not a physical trail, but it's a network of promoted places to visit in each region of New York State. So the state will be broken out into regions. Our target audience is new and intermediate birders, but we are trying to make sure that we have information that is of interest to experienced birders to keep them looped as well. And then, like I said, the trail will be broken into segments, with each segment that's promoted with a special emphasis on reaching new and diverse user groups and making sure that we're truly providing an inclusive experience for everybody. So we're making sure we prioritize outreach to new and non-traditional stakeholder groups and organizers as part of the planning process. We're making sure that we use inclusive language and imagery when we're providing promotional materials and language on our website. We're making sure that we reach out to those non-traditional stakeholder groups and increasing our outreach to make sure that we're getting feedback from everybody before we launch that segment of the New York State Birding Trail. And it's where it's possible, we're trying to prioritize birding trail locations that are near urban areas and accessible by public transportation. So our first segment of the birding trail was in New York City, and we tried to make sure that almost every site that is on the New York City segment of the birding trail can be reached by public transportation, and we made sure to notate that in the details. So many may know that when working with DEC or any other state entity, that DEC regions, state park regions, DOT regions, none of them are the same. So when we developed the regions for the New York State Birding Trail, we wanted to make sure that the regions reflect what the public is aware of and what is closest home to them. So we've broken the state out into 9 different regions, and many of these people may know based on tourism regions. So Greater Niagara, Southern Tier, Central Finger Lakes, these are all familiar to people as they're traveling across the state. So our New York State Birding Trail has a digital focus with no printed map, and it allows for the trail to be truly dynamic. Sites can be added at any time. They can be edited and revamped when there's new information or things that might need to be tweaked due to infrastructure improvements, things like that. We have a URL, ibirdnewyork.org. This is a redirect, so we can use it to easier get people to the website to be able to find the information. And the key feature of our website is a Google map. This allows for people to get directions to locations. It also gives us the ability to provide a short narrative, information on bird species that you may be able to view or observe at the site, a photo, and connection to the local community, which is getting back to the tourism promotion that we are trying to engage with. Our website also has a little bit of educational engagement elements, including things like birding lists, information on habitat etiquette. For New York City, they were especially focused on the Share the Shore initiative, so we made sure to include information on that. And this is just a screenshot of what our birding trail looks like right now for the New York City region. So each region, as you've seen before, will get a specific color. New York City is kind of this navy blue. When you open up the map into a full screen view, you'll be able to see each of the birding trail locations. And then on the left sidebar, you'll be able to see a list of them so that you can click on them. Once you click on a birding trail location, you're going to get a pop-up of all the information that we're providing. So it's going to have a picture at the top. If you look at the diamond-shaped arrow, that is a clickable button so that you can get directions to this location. It's going to have the name, a short description of why people should go there. If somebody wants to get all the information on that website, we have a link for that, more information. We also tried to make sure that every site has an eBird link so that people can get an idea of how eBird works and the species that we're seeing there most recently. Also, a list of key amenities, and some of these would include things like parking, things like if the site is accessible by public transportation, bathrooms, trails, anything that might be a key feature of the site that makes it more attractive. And then we have a short list of species, and this is going to vary based on the region and what information is out there, but we're definitely hoping to expand this to include more seasonal information so that visitors get an idea of what is available. Just a little bit about the timeline for the birding trail. So it was announced in January of 2021. We launched the trail in the first segment of the New York City region on October 7th, 2021. The dates and the order of the release are in development, but we expect that the entire trail will be completed by the end of 2022. And just as a little piece of information, we're hoping that the Greater Niagara region is coming very soon. So in terms of the birding trail locations and how we're deciding what locations should be on the birding trail, we're starting with primarily owned state properties, so things like DEC lands and state parks. In New York City, we also worked with New York City Parks just because they are the biggest landholder in New York City. We're also working with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Many of these state lands are kind of already listed through our watchable wildlife and bird conservation areas, and the birding trail is pulling all of this information together. There will be a self-nomination process for non-state owned sites, and this is similar to our watchable wildlife and path through history. And simple signs are going to be placed at each site for a visitor to be able to identify that they are at a birding trail location. So you can see on the right a picture that is at our Mount Loretto location in New York City. Our New York City staff did a really good job in framing these signs and making little birdhouses, but these can be kind of attached to any structure. And these are just some more pictures of the New York State Birding Trail signs. At the left picture is at our property, St. Francis Woodlands, that is on Staten Island. There's a new accessible boardwalk there, and it's really great property if you're ever able to visit Staten Island. And the right picture is from our Mount Loretto location, and you can see what our New York City staff did by framing each of the birding trail signs just to make it so they can stand up on a post. But these are 12 by 12 aluminum signs that are provided by DEC to any state-owned site or nominated site. And we're trying to make sure that they are visible to the public, preferably near main entrances or highly visited locations. Just some general site criteria for nominated sites and for some of the state-owned sites that we're looking at. We prefer the sites to be user-friendly and provide a positive visitor experience across the state. It's important that these locations are easy to find and get to for new users and families, and that some of them are near population centers. There should be a decently high likelihood of seeing some sort of bird species for a newer birder. We want to make sure that if we're sending somebody to a location, that they might see something. It's preferable that sites have some amenities available for users. Obviously, keeping in mind that not every site is going to have bathrooms year-round or some sort of visitor center that is open every single day of the week, but just something that invites the public in. And sites that have limitations due to high use, lack of parking, or other factors, that might affect somebody visiting the site, we should avoid promoting those sites. The self-nomination process for site owners that manage lands that want to be a part of the birding trail, you want to make sure you review the guidelines for site inclusion. So these are available on our website, just some of the guidelines, and then there's a PDF form that can be filled out and emailed to our email address, birdtrail@dec.ny.gov. It can also be mailed in if you prefer it that way. Then our internal review team will get those forms and kind of review them to make sure that they should be a part of the birding trail. The great thing about the birding trail is that there is no deadline for nominations. So if a region has not been announced yet, which is the rest of the state besides New York City, it would be a part of the announcement that is forthcoming. If the region has already been announced, in the future, it can be a part of a new announcement. So we may do some sort of press release or social media post about all the birding trail sites that have been added to our birding trail map. So this is just a screenshot of the nomination process. It's fairly simple. We're just trying to gather information on some of the background of the site, a little bit of the description and some of the birding information to help us fill in some of those pieces that we need to make sure that we can put it on our Google map. And we just want to make sure that we understand all of the amenities and features so that way when we're providing the information to the public, we can give them the clearest information. And that's all. If you would like my email address and contact us with more questions, you can email birdtrail@dec.ny.gov. If you need the forms for the nomination, you can feel free to reach out. Thank you.